So please introduce yourself and we are ready to hear your amazing presentation. So let's go.
So I'm Wyatt. I'm with Zesty Market. My background is mostly in toy and product design. So that's a little bit what I do here, but now more on a digital sense.
Yes.
And I'm gonna do like a quick presentation on what Zesty kind of does, and then walk you guys through how to set up a campaign for our billboard market. So can I share my screen in here, I assume?
Yes, 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 I can share. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Now we see your screen.
Awesome. So this guy. So Zesty is really about helping creators monetize in the metaverse. It does really three core things. The first one is monetizing spaces. If you have like land in Decentraland, for example. The other one is helping creators advertise their creations. Say you had another game or experience you want to share. And then we also provide some analytics that allow you to like understand your customer better. So over the past year, Zesty's about a year old now, and we're built on the Polygon network. We've done about 200,000 monthly unique visitors. We get about 500,000 billboard impressions monthly, and we've generated almost $15,000 in revenue for the different creators or owners of the spaces. And from that, Zesty takes about a 10% fee at this time. So to use our product, you basically just go to our website and you're met with a billboard market like this that gives you a view of different spaces. We're predominantly in VR at this time, but we've also support a lot of different metaverses like Decentraland. You can put it into a Unity game. You can run them on your website, as well as crypto voxels and HyperFi and a few others. And then there's another product that we're also working on too that is important to mention here, which is Zesty XYZ. And this is kind of like our data side of things. When you integrate a billboard, we have a thing that we call our beacon, which will then collect the visits and clicks to your parcel. And we aggregate that here, and we allow the users then to essentially look at the marketplace overall and get an idea for what spaces are maybe performing better than others. And then one thing that I think is really interesting too about metaverse advertising versus like traditional web advertising is it really is a lot more about impressions. I think we're finding as much as clicks. We do have a very good click-through rate generally for the VR spaces, but for something like Decentraland where you're going to experience ads more spatially around you in like a 3D environment, or I should say in a broader 3D environment, being a lot of the VR games are single experiences at this time. People don't generally click on the billboards in Decentraland as much, but they definitely do make an impression when they see them. So I want to switch over real fast now to how to set up a campaign. This is our website. When you come to it, it's zesty.market. And right now we have both a V1 and a V2 marketplace, but the V2 is still in beta. So I'm going to use the V1 today. And I have a photograph of the vendor conference. So I'm going to use that to set up the campaign. So when you start out, you come and you see essentially our inventory of our billboards. As you can see, a lot of them are in VR games. If we click into one here, you can see this one's called archery training. It'll give you a little example of what the space looks like and where the ad will be placed. Right now we support 3 different formats. One is a square format, another is rectangular, and then there's a tall one as well. But generally the square or the wide banners are the most popular. But to actually create the campaign, it's really pretty simple. You just go right into our campaign section. And as you can see, I have other ones set up here before. And this is the one I set up earlier. But you would just click this create campaign button. You choose your format, which we're going to use square. And we drop in our image. And my image right now isn't perfectly square. So it's going to prompt me to do this cropping for how I want it to actually display, which is kind of nice. And then you give your campaign a name. So we'll do Vendor Conference 2. You give it a call to action, which is like your link that you want to link to. So we're going to use the Grand Theater link for that. And then we'll give it a little message, which this isn't really, actually it might show up in World as like a hover state, but I think it's more for identifying the campaign on the website. But and once we do that, everything with Zesty is all on chain. Like I said, we're built on the Polygon network. So it'll ask you to confirm a transaction, which is very inexpensive, being it is on Polygon. And while that is setting up, I'm going to switch over real quick to the Decentraland builder. So as you can see here, our banner is a really basic smart item. I have it down on the right. So if you just click it, you can bring it into your scene, and then there's some configurable information with it. The main thing that you need is just this, what do you call it? This space ID right here. And I already have this set up already. So if we go back into marketplace, our campaign should be created now, which is this one, Vendor Conference 2. So all we need to do now that it's created to place it on the billboard is go into the market and purchase the slot. Sorry, right here. So we're going to purchase slot 4 of this billboard that I have already set up. And as you can see, the way our pricing goes is the billboard owner sets up a time slot. So it's not programmatic. It's a lot more like traditional billboard advertising where you were going to purchase display time over a period of time. So we'll choose this first one right here and buy it. And it'll prompt you to select which campaign you want to place in there. It also has a nice feature of only suggesting campaigns that fit the format of the ad, whether that's square or wide or tall. And then we push next and submit. This will go through and confirm. And then all that needs to be done on the other end is the user needs to accept this transaction. And that essentially allows moderation on the space owner's point. So if you'll be able to preview and see the campaign that somebody is trying to post into your space. And if you don't want to have that there, you could cancel it, or you can obviously go through and accept it. And that'll be loading. While that goes through, it should come up here now on my billboard page. And as we can see here, it's awaiting approval. And once I do that and accept this transaction, we'll be able to refresh in the Decentraland builder and the ad will be directly served. So I did show like a couple different steps there. And essentially I'm showing a few different roles. So there's both the person who would be purchasing the ad and also the space owner. But hopefully that was clear enough to follow. But now if we go into the builder, we go into preview and we step back, we can see that this ad will be served into this space and it will automatically revert to the default once the time slot has expired, which is a day from now. So yeah, that's really like the core product of Zesty right now. Is it's a very easy way for Decentraland in this case for you to set up a banner in your slot and set a price for it and a timing. And I think this is very useful for certain things like event space owners who maybe are hosting a concert or an event and they like to sell advertising just for that block at a certain price, and then perhaps during the week they have another event that would have a different pricing structure. It allows a very easy way for creators to have control over their own monetization of those ads as opposed to a programmatic solution. So yeah, is there any questions now? I guess I should open it up to you. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to
Ooh.
dictate that.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for amazing presentation. Actually, MetaView and Zesty are partnering up to provide better solutions to advertisers and connect like metaverses, VR games, and in-game advertising together. And I'm so happy today we hear couple projects who are trying to bring in advertisers inside metaverses and games, and also bring additional value to fellow landowners or game operators. And my question here would be coming like, you have like huge integration in VR games and you have lots of traffic in there, right? So what's your plan in terms of like integrating more games? So what's your future plans around it? Like how many monthly users are you targeting, or can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so our bulk of our market is definitely in VR right now. Like here, I can go back to the initial presentation for those stats. That'll help. And yeah, so that's where most of our 200,000 monthly unique visitors are coming from, as well as the 500,000 impressions. We're expecting the holiday season is usually like a really good growth area for us with VR. So we're expecting that to double probably by the spring of next year. The metaverse market is different for sure. It's a lot it's a lot earlier. I mean, the VR market is very early as well. But even the metaverse one is even earlier. And so a lot of what we've done in Decentraland has been, trying to feel out like the need and like the boundaries of like, what we can really contribute at this time. And our goal is definitely, I think, to look to like integrate with, larger spaces in like places like Decentraland at the time being is what we found. It's harder to go after the smaller, individual people. However, our system looks really great for them. And like, that's why we're like here at this sort of thing today, is we're trying to reach like more individual space owners. Because we really do think this is like for people who are crypto native, it's a really good tool for them to like use in these metaverse spaces. We have found it's hard for like people who aren't crypto native, like, and that's definitely a pain point, like bringing in, and it's a pain point, especially from like an advertiser standpoint, because those are generally the people who like they want to run ads, but they don't like understand this whole process that we've created. Whereas like somebody who might already own a piece of land or something, it's like, their wallet's set up, they're used to accepting transactions and things like that. So we'd like to gather more people like that and like build those, build out that like Web3 community. But it hasn't been as swift for us as VR for sure.
Yeah, I think like more and more people are gonna joining in, and we are also gonna be accessible for many people, and more young generations gonna joining in. And in terms of like kind of onboarding advertisers, I totally agree with you that who is not crypto native, it's very difficult to onboard. You need like lots of time to explaining them, like Terra Zero was mentioning. That's why like we are partnering up with Zesty Marketplace. So on the advertiser side, we are creating with them like usual Web2 experience. So that's why we kind of shaking heads with every amazing project, and wish everybody to prosper. And final goal is to bring value to fellow landowners, metaverses, and games, right? So yeah, thanks again for amazing presentation. And please stay tuned till the end of the conference. And I'm sure like I can't wait to see next year all those projects, like how big we're gonna become, and it's very interesting to see. So thanks again for joining. Amazing seeing what you are guys doing, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.